Hi, Mystery Movies here. Today I will make sense of the film called Robert. Release in the year 2010. Toward the start of the film, a bookkeeper is seen remaining in a desert, holding a lot of optics. A few seats are put on a pathway close by. Representative Pete drives a vehicle through the pathway, serving to take out every one of the seats on the way intentionally. At the point when he stops, Lieutenant Chad emerges from the vehicle's trunk and requests a glass of water from Pete. He then, at that point, strolls towards the camera and makes sense of that numerous things in film occur for not an obvious explanation. Like the characters experiencing passionate feelings for in the film Romantic Tale and the outsider being brown in the film E.T., all extraordinary films contain a significant component of not a glaringly obvious explanation. Subsequent to making sense of that most things in life occur for reasons unknown, he requests that the watchers remember that while watching the film, as it is a praise to not a great explanation. Finally, he pours the water to the ground, portraying that he is doing it for not a great explanation too. As the camera container in reverse, we see that he had been conversing with a gathering. Following that, the bookkeeper gives them one sets of optics each, and requests that they investigate the distance to watch the film. The crowd doesn't address why they need the gadget to watch the film, and get in line. At the point when everybody is settled, the bookkeeper passes on them to have a ball and leaves. For the initial couple of moments, they do not see anything. A small child begins to gripe that it is exhausting, however his dad requests that he watch somewhat longer. On looking carefully, they see an unloading ground. Out of nowhere, a tire named Robert shows some major signs of life. He gets up from the sand and starts continuing all alone. He requires a couple of moments to become accustomed to adjusting himself. Then, at that point, circumvents moving through the desert. The primary thing Robert runs over is a plastic water bottle on the ground. He turns over the jug, pulverizing it. Following that, he tracks down a wild scorpion and does likewise to the animal. Then, he sees a brew jug and attempts to squash it as well, however it is ineffective. At the point when his solidarity doesn't work, he utilizes his psychokinetic powers to burst the jug. The crowd is dazzled, lastly inspired by the film. One person begins shooting the tire, however a lady lets him know it is unlawful. He just expresses gratitude toward her and keeps watching like most of them. In the interim, Robert the tire rolls through the desert, pulverizing a few lifeless things with his heavenly power. He does this until the end of the day, and nods off when it gets dull. The following morning, the bookkeeper comes to awaken the crowd for the second day of watching the film. They haven't eaten since yesterday, and are starving, yet they are keen on the film more than food. They keep watching the tire, which is presently drinking from a puddle. He stares at a bunny, and chooses to utilize his powers on him. The guiltless animal explodes, spreading its guts everywhere. Robert is glad to see his power deals with creatures. He goes on a killing binge, searching for additional creatures to explore. On his way, he sees a wonderful young lady drive by and utilizes his power on her. Anyway, he just prevails with regards to making her slow down prior to getting run over by a truck. Robert gets himself and goes searching for the one who hit him. The person is at a service station when he sees Robert. Not realizing that the tire is there to get payback, he simply gazes at him. Robert begins to shake viciously, and utilizes his ability to explode the man's head. The crowd heaves in shock, however gets more keen on the film. Following the kill, Robert rolls to an inn close by the young lady he was going to kill before, is likewise remaining there. He keeps an eye on her through the entryway and watches her shower. The men in the crowd additionally see her and begin to discuss her body. The dad in the gathering removes the optics from his child, not maintaining that him should check a bare young lady out. The tire takes a gander at the young lady for quite a while, yet he doesn't kill her. It is as though he is drawn to her. At the point when she hits the hay, he likewise goes to a room in the inn to remain the evening. The item watches various shows on television, while nodding off. The crowd sees this and nods off too. Elsewhere, the bookkeeper is likewise in a room in a similar and planning for the following day. He has a turkey that he butchers to take care of to the crowd. The next morning, he escapes the room and meets the housekeeper, Martina. She goes into his space to clean it after he leaves. The bookkeeper awakens the crowd, and tosses the turkey to the ground. The destitute gathering doesn't stand by to grab bits of meat and eat up them. The main individual who doesn't benefit from it is a wheelchair utilizing crowd part. Back in the inn, Martina goes into the room that Robert is remaining in and sees that the bed sheet has dark stains. She strolls into the restroom to observe the tire showering. Not realizing that he is alive, she accepts that a client has left an irregular tire in the shower. She tosses it out, making him incensed. Robert gradually goes into the space to kill her too. The child of the inn's proprietor, Zach, sees the tire going in and tells his dad. Notwithstanding, The proprietor thinks his child is feigning. He admonishes Zach and sends him away to get pizza. In the meantime, Robert is watching the television in the wake of killing Martina mercilessly. Following that, he moves to the pool and sees a similar young lady emerging from it. At the point when she leaves, he bounces into the pool swim. The crowd sees him hop and starts discussing on the off chance that a tire sinks or floats in water. The son gets a sharp aggravation in his stomach which makes his dad stressed. Before long everybody begins to become ill. The individual in the wheelchair makes reference to that the turkey could have been harmed on the grounds that he is the one in particular who is fine. On returning, Zach sees Martina's headless body and quickly calls the police. Lieutenant Chad and his group show up soon to research the merciless homicide. Zach demands that the tire killed Martina, however his dad excuses his interests. He is approached to deliver the tire once again from the pool and discard it. At the point when Robert doesn't move, Zach accepts that he could have suffocated in the pool. Having enough of the garbage, his dad tosses the tire to the ground. As the lieutenant is asking him inquiries about Martina, his watch rings showing that the crowd has kicked the bucket. This implies that they can stop the film and return home. He tells the proprietor that the crowd is dead, however the man doesn't seem to grasp anything. A brief look from the desert shows us the dead groups of the crowd lying all over. The lieutenant then gets back to his group, and requests that they return home too. When they see him like he is crazy, he makes sense of that they were only representing a gathering watching them from the desert. He lets them know their identifications are phony and no one kicked the bucket in the inn. Appointee Dennis shows him Martina's body, and claims that somebody has certainly kicked the bucket so they ought to take care of their business. Yet, the lieutenant stays determined in his statement. Similarly, as they begin to accept he is freaked out, the lieutenant requests to be shot. Without contemplating it, one of the police officers shoots him. And is astounded when the slug causes no damage. Right then the bookkeeper illuminates the lieutenant about the individual in the wheelchair actually being alive. Until he is dead, similar to the rest, they should the demonstration. The lieutenant sees his group and claims that all that he said was only a joke. They ignore it and research. As he questions the proprietor, the tire shows some signs of life once more, and detonates the proprietor's head utilizing his power. The lieutenant is left dumbfounded. He lets his group know that the executioner is a tire, and they trust him undeniably. They pass on to search for Robert subsequent to getting educated by Zach that he took off. In the meantime, the bookkeeper moves toward the main living man with a table loaded with scrumptious food. He has harmed them to kill him. The man basically won't eat, and keeps watching the film through the optics. A vehicle with Representative Xavier and Delegate Pete makes up for lost time to Robert, however the two are excessively frightened to move toward him. Robert sees them and kills Pete with his powers. Once more Delegate Xavier is left stunned, and he allows the tire to move away. The bookkeeper sits close to the main crowd, and recounts to him a story from his experience growing up, about how he killed his younger sibling. While he is busy, he unconsciously eats the food on the table and gets a sharp stomachache. In the long run, he passes on in view of the food he had harmed. The man watches him battle, yet sits idle. Someplace else Robert arrives where a man is consuming a few tires. He watches the enduring of his sort, however never really helps them. After 3 days, Robert has made disarray. Headless dead bodies lie all over the town. He has killed close to around 50% of the populace, yet the police have still not tracked down him. One day he is sitting in front of the television next to a dead body when 2 cops track down him. They are excessively terrified to move toward him, so they call the lieutenant for help. The police officers make an intricate arrangement to kill the tire, without putting anybody's life risk. They spruce up a life-sized model and fit it with explosive and a receiver. They want to make it seem as though a human, so the tire would impact head and make a blast would kill him. The arrangement works and their life-sized model grabs Robert's eye. In any case, regardless of what they say through the amplifier, he doesn't hurt her. They take a stab at tempting him to urge him to kill her, yet it doesn't work, all things considered. At this point, the enduring crowd has moved toward them to draw a nearer perspective on the film. He recommends the police kill the tire front and center, since it is now so obvious where he is. The lieutenant requests that he let them take care of their responsibilities. Following that, the man sits close by watching the scene. In the end, the tire impacts the life-sized model's head. Be that as it may, the unstable doesn't go off. Having had enough of it, the lieutenant strolls inside the house and kills Robert with a shotgun off-screen. The main crowd scrutinizes him for the letdown. Just a few seconds after the fact, Robert emerges from the house resurrected as a tricycle. The man tells the police they aren't finished at this point, yet they have previously determined a way. The man asks the tricycle to not kill him, but rather he does it in any case. After the last crowd kicks the bucket, Robert is allowed to do anything that he satisfies. He strolls not too far off social affair, a multitude of tires behind him. Potentially going for the gold. That's the end of the movie. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notification, and leave a like, to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.